say that behind every great man, there's a great woman. But these women weren't standing behind anyone. Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 firsts for women in pop culture.
And now I'm going to see and hear someone you know well.
Number 10. First woman to write, produce, direct, and star in a major studio film, Barbra Streisand.
There are certain things that once you have, no man can take away. No wave can wash away. No wind can blow away.
Streisand's talent can be recognized with multiple Oscars, Grammys, Emmys, and Golden Globes, among numerous other awards.
I'm very honored and excited. Thank you all very much.
But she broke totally new ground with the movie Yentl.
It was like a madhouse. The whole family's going crazy.
The movie tells the story of a Jewish girl who wants to study Talmudic law, which is forbidden to women in her community. To that end, she dresses up as a man.
Welcome to our yeshiva.
I'm accepted. I'm a student.
Mazel tov.
It's perfectly fitting that this story of a girl striving to overcome gender divisions was what made Streisand the first woman to write, produce, direct, and star in a major studio film, not to mention the first woman to win a Golden Globe for Best Director.
I'm a woman.
A woman.
A woman.
Number 9. First female television announcer, Elizabeth Cowell.
Hello, Radio Olympia. This is direct television from the studios at Alexander Palace.
Television was brand new when Elizabeth Cowell rushed onto the scene. She participated in the BBC's initial experimental broadcasts, which were transmitted from Alexandra Palace Studios to the Radio Olympia exhibition in London in 1936. When the experiment was a success, the service began broadcasting regularly that November, and Cowell went on to work as one of their announcers. It looks like the BBC was ahead of the game when it came to both television and the role of women in the media. That said, the channel didn't have a female political editor until 2015, when Laura Kuenssberg joined the team.
The government wants to make a change that will affect thousands and thousands of students, and it wasn't in the manifesto. But he sort of let it go.
Number 8. First woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Aretha Franklin.
R-E-S-P-C-T, about what it means to me. R-E-S-P-C-T, declare Seriously.
She began her musical career as a child singing gospel music in her father's church, and she ended up with 18 Grammy Awards, selling over 75 million records worldwide, and named number 1 in Rolling Stone magazine's 100 Greatest Singers of All Time list. It's pretty clear that she was a talented and accomplished musician, but she also blazed a trail for other female artists when she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
She is the queen of soul. She is the queen of music.
To be inducted, candidates have to be nominated by a committee and then voted in by a group of experts in the field of rock music. And she was the very first woman to ever make the cut.
Hang on in there. Hang on in there.
Number 7. First woman to win an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, Muriel Box. Muriel and her husband Sidney Box helped promote women's acting careers very early on, originally working in theater. They worked on dozens of plays with mostly female casts, before transitioning into film and starting their own production company.
Hey, Mum! She's got out the window!
Call the fire brigade quickly!
Together, they wrote the screenplay for The Seventh Veil, a deeply psychological film that follows a young woman named Francesca who was institutionalized after attempting suicide.
Listen, you are 14 years of age now. How old are you?
I'm 14.
That is right.
The film was incredibly successful, and Muriel and Sidney were jointly awarded the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. In the following years, she produced multiple films dealing with the female experience and the role of women in society, despite rampant sexism in the industry.
I can understand Leighton not wanting you to get better. It would mean he'd lose you, and of course that's the last thing he'd want. But you... can't understand you.
Number 6. First woman to win the Palme d'Or at Cannes Film Festival, Bodil Ibsen. Born in 1889, Bodil Ibsen had a huge impact on Danish and European cinema. She started off acting in both theater and film before becoming a director. Her film The Red Meadows, which she co-directed with Lau Lauritzen Jr., was awarded the highest prize at the Cannes Film Festival, the equivalent of what is now called the Palme d'Or or the Golden Palm. Bodil was the first and one of the only women to win. With a film like The Red Meadows, though, it's no surprise that she took home the award. Bodil specialized in intensely psychological films, and this World War II story of a Danish resistance fighter awaiting execution showcased her immense talent. Number 5. First woman to attain 5 #1 singles in the US from one album, Katy Perry. Although Katy Perry's first album featuring Christian rock songs was originally a bust, she went on to be one of the most famous pop stars of our time. With her album Teenage Dream, Katy Perry became the first woman to have 5 songs from the same album reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Not only that, but she is in fact only the second person to achieve it, the first being Michael Jackson. So next time you listen to California Girls, Teenage Dream, Firework, E.T., or Last Friday Night, remember that they aren't just catchy tunes, they made music history. Number 4. First woman to win an Academy Award for Best Director, Kathryn Bigelow.
There's no other way to describe it. It's the moment of a lifetime.
Kathryn Bigelow made a great leap forward for women in the media when she won the Academy Award for her film, The Hurt Locker.
We had a minute and a half, man. We got to get out of here.
I'll handle this. Let's just go.
Look, Will, come on, man.
Look, I'm right behind you.
The movie, which follows a bomb disposal team in the Iraq War, is one of the many action films Bigelow directed, which just goes to show how unintimidated she is by the male-dominated genre. She was also the first woman to direct a movie with a budget of $100 million, with her submarine thriller, K-19, The Widowmaker.
Congratulations, Comrade Captain. We just wrote our names into the history books.
Things are looking up for ladies in the media, though, as more women are getting to work on high-budget films, including Patty Jenkins, who is directing the $100 million Wonder Woman.
I always say to struggling filmmakers, it's very much about pushing on a door that won't open, but one day the door cracks open and a moment happens.
Number 3. First woman to produce a sitcom, Betty White.
When you go down to work with that wet collar on it, or you lose your temper at somebody.
Lose my temper?
You're supposed to ask me why.
Why?
And then when you get hot under the collar, it'll dry out. I made that up. It's a joke.
In her youth, Betty White wanted to get a job in film, but no movie studios would hire her. They probably regretted it later, though, when she became a hugely successful television personality, acting, singing, writing, and even producing. She was such a hit that before long, she was both producing and starring in her own sitcom, Life with Elizabeth.
All right, let's try it again. 1, pretty, 1, 2. Must be a cheap lens.
In the following decades, Betty White continued to pioneer in television and take home award after award. In fact, she was also the first woman to receive an Emmy for Outstanding Game Show Host for her show Just Men.
This kid, why don't you drop in sometime? This kid just started this beautiful Ford Mustang convertible, and I'm going to mix it in with 6 other sets of keys that don't start the car, and then I'm going to go on over it so we can get a better look at our guest.
Number 2. First woman to own and produce her own talk show, Oprah Winfrey.
To make herself feel better, she would stand in my shoes. And now she says she doesn't have to stand in the shoes as much because she's standing on her own.
Despite a harrowing childhood, Oprah Winfrey quickly made a name for herself as a television personality.
When people are telling their stories, that the story that they're telling for themselves, they may not even get. They may not get the fullness and depth of what their words mean to the life of somebody else.
Her talk show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, began in 1986, and it was a success from the beginning, grossing $125 million in the first year alone. Capital Cities ABC originally owned the talk show, but 2 years later, Oprah decided to buy the rights and assets, taking over ownership and production.
Chris was married to the same man for 25 years, and then one day she woke up, no note, no explanation, no goodbye. He's moved on, but she still feels like her heart and soul were torn from her body, and she wants to move on and be happy, but doesn't know how. Does that about sum it up?
This effectively made her the first woman to own and produce her own talk show, and it became more successful than any other syndicated daytime talk show in history, which led her to becoming the first female African-American billionaire.
That changed my life because I realized there's so much you can do, you do your best, and then you surrender it.
Before we unveil our top pick, here is an honorable mention.
Don't forget me, I beg. I remember you say sometimes it lasts and loves, but sometimes it hurts instead.
Number 1. First woman to become a billionaire as a novelist, J.K. Rowling.
It would have really helped to have someone who had a measure of success come say to me, you will fail. That's inevitable.
It's probably not a shock that J.K. Rowling, one of the most successful writers of our day, author of the best-selling book series in history, is at the top of our list.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
She published the first Harry Potter book in 1997, after being rejected by multiple publishers who are definitely all kicking themselves now. She was living on state benefits when she finished writing the first book, but within a few short years later, her series had made her a billionaire. She didn't remain a billionaire for very long, but only because she donated so many millions of dollars to charity.
The trigger was a single photograph in a newspaper. I came across a photograph of a small boy who appeared to be caged.
Do you agree with our list? What's your favorite first woman in pop culture? For more delightful top 10s published daily, be sure to subscribe to Ms. Mojo.